On to the Raiders. Seven-time Pro Bowl wideout Antonio Brown. After arriving at camp in a hot air balloon, he has since missed a significant portion of time there because of a foot injury. He reportedly visited a foot specialist on Saturday, could be back at practice this week. Now, AB's picture of his feet popped up on my Instagram feed this weekend, and let's just say my breakfast was over. His feet were blistering and peeling. AB's still smiling, though. All right, see, before we get to what this really means for the Raiders, can you just tell us what's going on with AB's feet so we can take this?
I don't know. My feet look good. I came to the office this morning, people like, Chris, we need you to diagnose this. Now, I'm a pretty good sports injury guy. Yep. I can see guys get hurt and predict what potentially happened, but to me, I know this, as far as your feet. Coaches used to always tell you got to take care of your moneymaker, and your wide receiver, it's not your head. It's your hands and your feet. And in both of them, especially in your feet, you have poor circulation. So anytime you have any type of injury, any type of ailment, this right here, I believe, is some type of skin infection. Either he was wearing the wrong shoes, he stayed in water too long, or something. That's not normal. You don't get that. But when you have something like that, a complication of your feet, it's hard to get the type of work in. Like, you can only do so much pool work. You can't get out on the field. You're trying to go to a new team, develop some reps, rapport. We just talked about OBJ and Baker Mayfield. But when you can't be on the field, like, it affects the overall chemistry. So I don't believe it's something that affects his season, but I do believe it affects how and what kind of start they get off to there with the Raiders with their quarterback.
Just real quick, the reason that when you first walked in, I asked you about it, is sometimes we see these things and your reaction is, oh, that's typical. Like, everybody goes through that in training camp, or a lot of guys do. I thought it was really interesting that you, having done a lot of the same training routines that Antonio does, some of your former trainers or Antonio's current trainers, that you said, no, this is an outlier. This is not something, no matter how hard you're working, that's supposed to happen. Dr. David Chow wrote an article about this. Former doctor, I think, for the San Diego Chargers at the time, now Los Angeles Chargers, said it was along the lines of what you said, that his feet were in moisture for too long, and then he developed some type of infection that will have to be cut away. Not great, but so it is not something that sometimes we see NBA guys and their feet are all mangled or it looks awful, but that is typical. That's just from big guys running and jumping up and down the court. This is not standard even for a guy working at the level AB is.
Right, and we know how hard he works out. You talk about it all the time. He's there early, he stays late. So I think the assumption was, and we thought you would say, that it was just from the constant repetition, the cutting, the moving, but it's interesting to know that it isn't. But assuming he does come back and he is full strength, what is the ceiling for the Raiders and for AB with him in there in that offense?
Yeah, I don't see them above 8-8. I don't know if they can protect the passer enough. Are they going to have a running game? Rookie Josh Jacobs out of Alabama, second-round pick. I believe he's a quality running back. I believe they're going to try to put a lot of carries into him. How good of a receiver he is out of the backfield, I believe, becomes very, very important. Who they're going to throw to opposite of AB, because he's going to get a lot of coverage. And does Carr, early in this relationship, does it force him to throw in the coverage and do some things that Ben Roethlisberger and AB, they did, and they did it successfully. But it's not the quarterback manual for how you want to get the ball to a wide receiver. Those things are developed over a long period of time. You start throwing in the double coverage, the defense knows you're going to do it. They got away with it in Pittsburgh because they had tremendous chemistry and typically were always on the same page. But what if early they don't have that? And what's AB's demeanor going to be? Because I'm just going to tell you, the Pittsburgh Steelers and how they run their organization, you guys might have thought it was loose. The Oakland Raiders is loose. So I expect...
What does that mean?
There's not as many restrictions on the players. And so I believe that AB is going to continue not only trying to be a good football player, but trying to build his brand with the Raiders brand. The Raiders brand is about being brash, personal fouls, penalties, undisciplined. Like, it's not just win, baby. That used to be it. Now it's a bunch of other things, leading the league in penalties year after year, or definitely being one of the top 5. So I just believe that AB is in this pursuit to continue to be on the gram, see how popular he is. So He's not going to be on a winning football team, I don't believe, and I believe it's going to create a lot of frustration. Let's just see where that leads to.
And on the Raiders' offense, this is where this season is something of a fair referendum on Gruden's system and on Carr, the quarterback. Because you look at the offense, everyone knows how great Antonio Brown is. I like Josh Jacobs a lot, and he's one of the few Alabama running backs that we don't think was run into the ground while he was there, that he should have fresh legs, that he didn't have a huge workload at Alabama. We talk all the time about teams needing to upgrade their offensive line. They have a potentially great offensive line. Colton Miller was the first-round pick last year, played really well. They brought in Trent Brown, remember, paid him all that money. Right now he's slotted in on the right side, but those are two competent tackles. Rodney Hudson's one of the better centers in football, and their guards are Gabe Jackson and Richie Incognito. Kind of remove him from the discussion if you can, because he's going to be missing the first couple games. It's an excellent offensive line. Maybe the best receiver in football. I think a very good running back. Carr has shown the ability to, at the very least, be an above-average NFL quarterback. Gruden's supposed to be an offensive guy. You're going to have time in the pocket. You're going to have time to either have running lanes or time to drop back. If Gruden's system's going to work, it's hard to be in a better position than they are offensively this year. Now, defensively, they have a bunch of questions on that side of the football, but I'm really interested to see Carr in year 2 with Gruden, with a real wide receiver, with theoretically an upgrade at running game, with an even better offensive line. The offensive line was fine last year. How good can this offense be? Because this offense last year struggled to score touchdowns. Carr struggled to throw touchdowns. Like, can they score points? Because I don't think they're going to have a top 10 defense to where they can win a lot of games 17-14. I think they're going to have to get in the mid-20s on average in order to win games. In theory, they should have the personnel to do it if the scheme and the quarterback play along.
Quickly before we break, last year the biggest question here was really Derek Carr, and which Carr we're going to see week to week. We weren't sure how much Gruden really believed in him and wanted him there. Do you have similar questions going into this year, and does Antonio Brown help that situation?
Well, I think that I have more confidence than typically what people have in Carr. I like the way he throws the football. I believe he's definitely a legitimate quarterback, but we're in an era where we got so many quarterbacks. Where is he? In the top 20? Top 15, he's going to have an excellent season build to repair his reputation. Having someone like AB, who has been one of the best, him and Julio Jones, the best 2 receivers we've had in football the last 3 to 5 years. It should help. Still a young quarterback.
All right, let's break there. Coming up, do you just trust Jerry Jones and the Cowboys to get Zeke, Dak, and Amari new contracts? Jerry Jones thinks so. That's next on First Things First.
Jerry told me this weekend, Chris, the people just got to trust me. They got to trust me and know that I'm going to do what's best for my Cowboys. Yep, I want Zeke, love him, love Ohio. I know people love him here, but I love my